Barrett Brooks is on his way. I'm guessing he's stuck in traffic because there's so many people here. We were here at, crack of dawn this morning. We were ready to go.
I slept in the office.
Did you? Okay. We're going to have some questions. If you're not here, we have some questions rolling in on the stream. We're going to have some questions in the audience. Ashley Hall's out there gathering those. So let's start. First, before we get into the questions, some linebackers. Eagles signed Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham. What do you think this means?
Yeah, 2 veteran linebackers, something they don't have a lot of experience. Both these guys have started over 75 games in their career. They were both second-round picks. They both played a lot of football, and they both played last year. They were both free agents, so they've got experience. It's something they didn't have. They were running. Look, Nolan Smith's a versatile kid, and Christian Ellis has some potential, but with Nakobe Dean out with the ankle the other day, that was your starting linebackers, off-ball linebackers. So they needed to do something. We kind of knew they were going to do something, and I don't know if these guys can still play. They're both in their late 20s, and they should be as long as they're healthy. They play a lot of football. We'll see them at practice on Tuesday and see where they are.
Yeah, curious to see what the combinations look like. It is worth mentioning, you're right. They were on the street for a reason, presumably. So I think you have to temper your expectations. Nakobe Dean has been banged up. So without him, they were down to 4 healthy off-ball linebackers. We knew eventually they were going to have to add some bodies.
And they released Davion Taylor's former third-round pick earlier today. So, yeah, they needed bodies. They needed legs, and they got some.
Yeah, all right. So I have some questions here in front of me. We'll wait for Ashley to give us a go-ahead out in the crowd. But the first question here from Dan Techman. We mentioned on our last pod that you could see a player-for-player trade based on some of the Eagles' depth at edge. Other than edge, is there another position where you see them having some tradable depth? And a position you think they might look at?
Well, I think linebacker was the obvious one, but I don't think they're going to do that now. We'll see, if these 2 guys can play. I think a guy like you said, other than edge, I don't think they have a lot of tradable. Like when camp started, I thought a guy like Quez Watkins maybe would be tradable. But I think the combination of him having a very good camp and Olamide Zaccheaus not kind of ends that. They're not going to trade Olamide. So I don't see a lot of tradable depth on the roster.
Yeah, there's not a ton. Maybe running back if one of those guys doesn't make the roster. But
yeah.
I don't know how much you're getting back for Trey Sermon or Boston Scott.
I think Trey Sermon would be the guy, the most likely guy not to make it out of those 5. You're not going to get – these guys all signed cheap deals, so teams could have had them without giving up assets. So are they going to really give up assets for the same guy? I doubt it. But maybe there's somebody out there who loves Boston Scott. Maybe the Giants would say, we had enough of him beating us up.
It wouldn't be a bad move. All right, Ashley has a question out there. We're excited to hear it.
All right, guys. Your first fan question comes from Tony. Tony, come on in. Let us know.
Hi, how we doing, guys?
Hey, Tony.
Doing well.
Just a question. You talked about Trey Sermon, and I thought he had a pretty good chance of making the team this year. So if he does, which running back is going to go?
Yeah, actually, I was just writing about that today or yesterday or sometime. I think DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell are locks. You agree? They're roster locks. I think Penny, Scott, and Sermon are probably fighting for one job, and I can't imagine they would cut Penny if he's healthy. So really, I think it's going to come down to Trey Sermon and Boston Scott, and if it does, I think Trey Sermon's probably the odd man out, although he's kind of unique. He's a bigger body than the other backs. He's a big, strong, powerful guy. He's a good blocker, and they value that. So it's possible that Boston Scott could be on the way. That's kind of hard to imagine. He's been here forever, but it's going to come down to those guys, I would guess, as long as Penny's healthy.
Yeah, and I think we'll see a lot in those joint practices, maybe preseason games with those guys. You're right, though. It probably comes down to those 2 guys for the last roster spot. All right, Ashley, another one out there.
Yeah, guys, we already have another fan question. These fans are awesome. Jason is up next with a question about Kelly Green.
Is that Roy Nell Young?
That's
Sproulsy.
Yeah. So assuming we have home field advantage, are we going to wear Kelly Green throughout the playoffs in any, if not all, the games?
I don't think they will. I think they're going to keep it on a limited time basis with the Kelly Green. Look, I think they're going to keep this rollout small for now, and we'll see where it goes. But The bigger question I have about jerseys is if the league allows them to go to another helmet. Jeff Lurie was talking about that a couple years ago, because then they would bring the black back and they would have 2 different alternates, and they can kind of pick and choose their games to wear those.
I personally don't care about jerseys.
And he's happy to let you know. Barrett.
What's up, man? How's it going, fellas?
B. Brooks.
Some traffic, man?
No, actually, I wasn't allowed in. I didn't go through the media entrance, so I had to buy a ticket, go through. So I mean, at least I'm helping the Luries and helping out the foundation.
I like that. How you doing, man?
Make
Good,
sure you take, deduct that on your taxes.
Well, I wish I could, but
You'll expense those.
Right.
Barrett, real quick, before we get to another fan question, the big news of the day, Eagles just signed Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham, 2 linebackers, veteran linebackers. Me and Reuben already talked about it. I want to get your thoughts on those.
Miles Jack's the guy that's going to come in. I mean, he's not necessarily a stand-up linebacker. He's a situational linebacker who can blitz a lot, play the run well. I mean, that's experience we need there. So, that's a great move by Howie, not saying he's finished, but just still having this just having the roster evolve as it goes along.
These are such Howie moves.
Yeah, they are.
There's no downside, and maybe you get a player.
Yeah, it's funny. I always thought that there was a chance they'd trade for somebody, and maybe there still is, but if he doesn't have to give up a draft pick, he's not going to do it. He's gonna go the route where he just signs a guy and tries to duct tape that position together a little bit.
Duct tape is the word, yes.
Howie's going to trade Zach Cunningham for 4, by the end of camp.
Remember, he did that last year.
He did do that last year.
Yeah, he got oh man, what was that guy's
That's
name?
safety.
Oh, that's gonna bug the heck out of me the rest of the day. All right, Ashley, go ahead.
Jason Avant's going in the drink.
All right, guys. Lucky number 3 is Braden, and he wants to make sure that I say he is from Harrisburg. So we're representing over here. All right, Braden, what do you got?
For one, I think it was Jaquiski Tart. Was that the?
No, they didn't trade him. It was oh man, it's gonna bug
It's a good
me.
name
Bothered
though.
me too.
Yeah, they brought him in, and then they traded him like a week later.
Dave's going to look it up.
I'm gonna look it up while you do your question.
Yeah. They traded him to wasn't it to either the Titans?
Yeah.
They traded to the Titans.
Titans
He was
or
from
Texans.
He was from Seattle.
He was from Seattle. He went
Yep.
Seattle, here, Houston.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll listen here.
And we used this draft pick too. Used the draft pick we got from him.
Yeah.
Barry, you're
Got
killing
Jalen
me.
Hurts for him.
Yep.
So my question is, these 2 linebackers that they just added, Cunningham and Miles Jack, does this reflect maybe they aren't as confident in Nakobe Dean as they might, we thought they were? Or are they just looking for someone to play beside him?
Yeah, it's a fair question, I think, because I think they are really bullish on Nakobe, and their actions up until this point have shown that. But we haven't seen him play yet, and I think he's going to be a question mark until we do. That said, I don't know if this reflects on him as much as it does the people around him. I think it's been pretty obvious the linebackers this camp haven't been playing all that well. And it was a position that, we saw safety last year. It was a spot where we thought they were weak, and then eventually they made the trade for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Linebacker felt the same way to me this year.
And Kobe's hurt. He's banged up, and we think he's going to be back soon, but who knows? They had to do something. I mean, they ran Christian Ellis and Nolan Smith out there as their off-ball linebackers on Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday.
So look, Nolan's great. He's versatile, but it's not ideal.
And I remember a time last
Before you
year
walk away, it was Ugo Amadi.
There
Yeah.
he is. Yep.
Ugo Amadi.
Weren't we
I'm
looking at it for a
shocked
time?
he didn't know that
Right.
off the bat.
Yeah, I know. I'm upset by myself.
Weren't they trying to look at Cunningham like 2 years ago when he was I think it was with the Texans, right? For a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he was drafted by the Texans. He had some pretty good years
Yes,
there,
yes.
over 100 tackles 3 times. He had 164 tackles, which is, I know, not maybe the most perfect way to judge a linebacker's success, but we don't really have great stats for linebackers.
Right.
You kind of just watch them and see what they do.
You know what's a good stat is pounds, and these are bigger guys, which is the one thing that they've been lacking.
And that might be what they're looking for anyways, because at this point, 'cause, I mean, when you have smaller linebackers like that and you got to stop the run, you're going to need those big guys to fill it up a little bit.
No doubt.
All right, I'm going to go to one of the chat questions here, if I can find one real quick, because we've got some rolling in. Keep those coming as well. I actually have one here about Marcus Mariota, because I'm sure people have heard about his struggles in training camp. This question comes from Howard Myers, just about Marcus and if they can rely on a Tanner McKee or something. Or I saw another question if they would think about making another move at that position. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know who you're going to find. I mean, he has not had a good camp. once in a while he makes a nice throw. The one that we saw was the side armor to Greg Ward, and Nick keeps bringing it up as his training camp high moment. But he hasn't been good. He either takes off running or throws incomplete. He's got a funky delivery. I'm not real encouraged. Now, I think Tanner McKee is way behind where Marcus Mariota is. I mean, Tanner McKee's not going to be the 2. If it's going to be Mariota. I mean, where are you going to, you're not going to find somebody better than him. Guy's won a lot of games in the NFL, but it is concerning. And Jalen's a guy that's been hurt a couple games each year. And odds are Mariota's going to play a couple games. So it's he might have 30 carries if he does.
Well, I mean, this is a Chip Kelly's offense, and we said there was a lot of characteristics as far as his ability to run the ball that could help this team out that he didn't have last year when they didn't have a starting quarterback for 2 weeks. But what you do when you look at him, you got to understand why is he here now anyways. He was starting last year with Atlanta, didn't perform well in Atlanta. So what makes us think that we're going to get more than what we saw in Atlanta last year? So I mean,
yeah, and he's a backup. Look, I think that to expect if there's ever a moment where they need him for him to step in and be a great player is probably foolish. But
right.
Look, my radar's up a little bit because he's off to a bad start. I'm not ready to panic about it.
Me neither.
Because he's been in the league a long time.
I'm ready.
Are you really?
I'm close.
I'm not there.
Not panic.
I think that's jumping the gun. I mean, the guy's been in the league for almost a decade, so to weigh 6 training camp practices over the body of work, I think is a little bit.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I want to see what he does. He's going to play a lot in the preseason games, but I think you'd agree that Tanner McKee, Ian Book are not anywhere close to where Mariota is.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. They're developmental guys. All right, Ashley, do you have another one for us?
We do. They are rolling in, guys. We have Eric and Denise from Newark. What's your question, Eric?
Wait. Newark, New Jersey, Newark, Delaware, or Newark, Ohio?
Delaware.
They're all pronounced differently, which is interesting to me.
Exactly. So the biggest question I have is the third wide receiver battle in training camp. How do you guys feel Quez is looking in training camp? And I can't pronounce the other guy's name. Zakaris?
Olamide Zacchaeus. Olamide. Zacchaeus, like I was saying.
Who do you feel is winning that battle in camp?
I'll be honest, it hasn't been much of a battle. I think it's Quez, and I get a lot of flack because I've somehow become the Quez guy. I don't know how that happened to me. I just call it like I see it. I think he's clearly ahead of him. He's made some really spectacular plays this training camp. And look, I understand that he's done that before, and there's this natural tendency to say, well, do it in the games. He can't do it in the games right now. They're not playing games. I think it's pretty clear he's ahead of him. And I think Olamide's kind of had a quiet camp. I think that's fair to say. I've been very surprised that him and Marcus Mariota haven't had a great rapport because they played together in Atlanta. You would think they'd come in and be on the same page. They haven't been. It's been kind of surprising.
The thing that's impressed me about Quez is after last year and what a nightmare it was with the fumbles and the drops, the Super Bowl, the nightmare in Dallas with Minshew, that he's come in and played confidently. And that shows me a lot. He's come in with his head in the right place. We all know he can run. He can track a deep ball. So if he's got his confidence, he becomes a weapon. And I'm with Dave. I mean, it hasn't been close between him and Zacchaeus.
Yeah, you talk about speed kills, and that's the biggest thing. His speed. He's a 4.3 guy, and when you line him up, if he can go out there and just catch the ball, he's one of the top receivers, if he does that. He can take the top off the defense. That's all they ask him for. He's not going to get a lot of reps, and every time he got a rep last year, he didn't play well in that rep. So he took it upon the chin. He said he didn't have a good Super Bowl. He said he didn't going to have a good season. He worked his butt off, came into camp, and now he's feeling like he's one of the elite receivers. Well, hey, go ahead and play like you're an elite receiver then. I want him to have some success. We'll see.
I got no problem with him saying that about himself.
Right.
I want him to be confident.
Yes, exactly.
Contract year, too. That's not lost on anyone. All right, thanks for that question, guys. I have one coming in on the chat here from Chris John. Is Cam Jurgens an upgrade from Isaac Seumalo?
That's a good question. I would say no right now. Potentially, yes. I think Isaac Seumalo was a top 10 guard last year. He's a really good player. I mean, there's a reason Steelers gave him $8 million a year. He was really good when he was healthy. I think potentially Cam can get to that point or a little better. Isaac never made a Pro Bowl. Never made a Pro Bowl. But right now, Cam's not at that. I mean, he's still in a new position. He's still learning. Hasn't played in a preseason game yet. So potentially at some point, yes, but not yet.
I don't think he'll be a better guard than Seumalo. I do think that when he grows into his
Better center than
position,
Kelsey?
yes. He won't. No, you, come on, man.
What are you gonna say?
Come on, no. He'll be a very, 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 very good center. But a guard, I don't think so. But center-wise, he has everything. He has all the intangible. He can block at the second level. He can snap it. He's smart as a whip. You know, he knows the defense, where he's supposed to go with the defense and understand what they're trying to accomplish with the defense. So, I mean, I like him. I like him at the center position, but not the guard.
All right, we have another question out here with Ashley, a young man in a very fresh-looking A.J. Brown
Those are my
jersey.
buddies.
And I see a Jalen Hurts out there, too. What do we got, Ash?
Well, Marcus has an awesome question while sporting an awesome jersey. What do you got, Marcus?
Who do you think is going to have the most touchdowns this year? A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith?
Ooh.
That's a tough one. I'll let you take that, Rube.
AJ or Devontae the most touchdowns? Man, that's a great question because either one of them is capable of turning any catch into a touchdown. You know what? I'll say Devontae. I think Devontae is going to have an unbelievable year. But I think they'll both catch like between 9 and 12.
That's a fair amount, especially with the attention that AJ is going to get, you know, from defenses now. He's not going to be a secret anymore, so they're definitely going to make sure that they double him a little bit, which opens up a lot for Smitty to go out there and play well.
Yeah, it could be any one of those because they're both going to get so much attention. And you think of AJ being the guy that should thrive in the red zone because he's so big, but then Devontae has the body control. The end zone basically extends like 4 feet out of bounds because of how good he is there. I'd still take AJ if we're asking me about those two guys in particular, but it's a good question.
I think it'll be at the end of the day Goddard. So.
Oh, I like that. Dallas
could be.
Dallas has kind of been lacking in the touchdown department. He wants to get more, and he should be quite a weapon down there as well. We have another one, a follow-up question? Okay.
We do. Maximus, Marcus's brother, has, I'd say, a season prediction that he wants to share with you guys.
Sure.
Let him know.
He's going to win. The Chiefs or the Eagles? The Eagles.
There you go, the Eagles.
I think everyone here likes that prediction. Great job, guys. We have a few other questions coming in the chat while we get some more from Ashley out there. This one, how about this one? Dave's Aquatic Domain. I guess I'm in an aquarium now. Do you see them making a move at safety? Not much experience outside of Edmonds.
I don't think so. I actually like what we have at safety right now. Guys are filling into their roles. They're going to rely a lot of big nickels, so I expect a lot. The 3 guys that are there to really get an opportunity to fight for the position, and see who's going to be that deep safety, that in the box safety, and also just be that hybrid safety.
I think Edmonds has started 75 games. He's only 26, so there's a lot of experience there. And Blankenship doesn't seem to be a guy that. He plays like he's a 5-year veteran. His confidence and his instincts, his intelligence. It's possible with how you never count out anything. And then Kayvon's having a good camp, and Sidney Brown's waiting in the wings, who I think they really like. So it's possible, but I don't expect it.
Yeah, I actually think they have surprising depth at safety right now. I don't know if any of these two guys are like stars right now. I think Blankenship has a lot of potential. Edmonds, you mentioned the big nickel. I think he's the guy who can play in the box a little bit, and you can use him that way. Kayvon, in a limited role, driving downfield, I think can be fine.
What do you mean by limited?
Well, no, I mean I don't think he's an every down player.
Okay.
I think he can certainly play a role, and he's an aggressive guy. Plays with his hair on fire, which is a lot of fun. I don't know about him playing every snap. I don't think he'd last if he had to play every snap just with the play style. And then Sidney Brown, a lot kind of depends on his progression. They love Sidney Brown, but safety can be a hard position on a young player, and I don't think we really know where he is yet in his development.
Yeah, there's no wasted movement in the 3 guys we talked about. I'm watching them. They know where they're supposed to be at. They're not making false steps. Those are the type of things you want to see from a safety to make sure he's going in the right direction. And all 3 of the guys are showing that they understand what their place is in the defense and they're acting accordingly. So I like that so far. I'm not seeing any different colored jerseys out there, so we can't really say anything right now.
Yeah, I understand that. Charles on Twitter asked, any chance Keely Ringo could play safety for the Eagles?
He's a big dude.
Certainly has safety size. I don't know if Keely's agent's going to be on board with that, because
right.
in a few years he's going to try to get a contract.
Yeah, I think initially you want him to get comfortable in one position, although Sean Desai hasn't shown any hesitancy to move guys around. You know, you see guys playing multiple positions. I mean, just moving Nolan Smith to off-ball backer and stuff like that. Mario Goodrich in the slot. He likes playing guys in a lot of positions and seeing where they excel. So it wouldn't shock me if he got some reps there, but I just think Keeley needs to get comfortable. Keeley's an interesting guy. I mean, he has some really bad snaps, some really bad reps, but he's got some really good ones too. So he's kind of all over the map like you'd expect from a rookie, and he's got a long way to go, but he's done some good things.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll see how that kind of plays out. I would maybe move Mekhi Gardner.
He looks like a safety.
He looks like a safety. All right, let's go out to Ashley now with another question.
Yep, guys, we have another question from Seneca and Sebastian. What do you got?
Yeah, just curious. So, given all the turnover we've had, especially on the defensive side of the ball last year, what are your predictions on whether you think the defense will be able to perform at the same level as last year? You know, stat-wise was pretty strong, but, you know, kind of dipped off towards the end of the season. What do you think? Same, better, worse?
Barrett, why don't you take this one first?
You know, these guys are still, you know, learning the defense. So since they're still learning the defense, it's going to be hard for us to see and evaluate which way they're going to go. It's going to take a while for them to really, you know, melt together and figure out what's their strengths, what their weaknesses. They still don't know what their first and second down defense is going to be. You know, is it going to be a 5-man front, 4-man front? A nickel are going to go a 3-man front? You know, what are they going to do? They have a lot of talent in a lot of different places. So they're still trying to put names to positions and everything else. So I'll be hard-pressed to see if they're going to be better than last year. They'll be able to rush the passer probably better than last year. But I don't know as far as the safety.
70 sacks last year.
Huh?
He had 70 sacks last year.
I'm not saying the potential of the 70 sacks. I'm just saying they'll probably be able to rush a little better.
Yeah,
I
think it's tough because they lost some really good players and they have a lot of question marks. I mean, a guy like T.J. Edwards, he was really good last year.
Right.
You look at the plays that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson made. What do you have, 6 interceptions? They lost some talent. Hargrave didn't give you a lot against the run. It's one of the reasons they were bad against the run, but he had 11 sacks. So there's a lot of question marks there on the defense. Potentially, yeah, but look, they were 15 yards short of being the number 1 defense in the NFL last year. And they were a really, really good defense up until the second half of the Super Bowl. So I think it's going to be tough for them to play at that level.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that the stats might not show that they're a better defense, but in situations, I think there are things where they could maybe be better. And that's kind of what I'll be watching. I think to duplicate the stats from last year is going to be tough. When you look at the schedule, you look at the loss of talent, specifically in the middle of the defense,
and the
both
quarterbacks
linebackers,
they face.
both safeties, and the schedule part of that. So I think statistically it'd be tough, but I think we'll learn a lot about Sean Desai when they face that gauntlet of really good quarterbacks.
And I think they should be better against the run with Jalen Carter in the mix and Jordan Davis a year more experienced. And not to knock Hargrave, but he was a liability against the run. And so they should be better against the run. They were a really bad run defense last year. Their best run defense was getting up 30-10 on people, and then they kept throwing the ball. So
that's a pretty good run defense, though.
That is a pretty good run defense. I also think the way this offense is going to score points, defense could probably give up 25 a game and still be 14-3.
Thanks for the question, guys. I'm going to go to the chat right now from Ian East. Who is tight end 2, and do you think Dan Arnold makes the team? A guy we haven't really talked about very much.
Yeah, I think we were just talking about this maybe at practice yesterday. Tyree Jackson's an interesting guy to me. I don't see where he fits in, but he just keeps catching the ball. 6'7", physical. He likes to block. They love Stahl, and he played 49% of the snaps last year. So I don't see him going anywhere. I think he's going to be the number 2 tight end. And Calcaterra, I think, will be here. He was a 6th-round pick last year. He's fast. He catches the ball well. Doesn't give you anything on the line of scrimmage. Dan Arnold's not a blocker, and I'm not sure he does anything better than Calcaterra. So I would expect, as long as I think he's the only guy he could beat out, and I'm not sure he's going to do that.
Yeah, I'm the same with you, Rube. I don't know if Dan can come in and really dethrone Stahl. I know he can't dethrone Stahl.
Yeah.
Calcaterra's a guy that showed he was versatile in that Giants game. He played a little fullback, played a little wing. So they have some ways in which they could use him, not just the tight end position on the edge. Other than that, I don't know. Tyree Jackson, he's starting to become less and less, for me, a unique type of player now because he can't stay healthy and he hasn't done anything to show me that he can, line up and play on the line of scrimmage consistently. So I don't know about those guys. I know Calcaterra, they like him because of his versatility. And Stoll, they just love him because he blocks. But they threw the pass. They throw the ball to him a little bit. He caught a couple passes last year.
Caught 11 passes.
Yeah.
Career high.
Calcaterra told me he put on like 5 to 10 pounds,
Did he?
looking
Okay.
a little bit bigger. So I think maybe there's a chance at some point he could take Stoll's job, but I don't think that's really what they're looking for in that second tight end. All right, let's go back out to Ashley with
Stoll
another
played
question.
574 snaps last year.
What?
He played 50% of the snaps.
Well, we ran a lot, too, so of course he would get a monster of those snaps.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Ash.
We're not hearing Ash here. Still not getting you, Ash. What's up?
All right, we'll let Ashley and the crew figure that one out. John Dickerson has one of my favorite questions of the day. Who's winning the punting battle? I'll take this one, guys.
Yeah, please.
Nobody.
Honestly, it's been tough. They haven't punted a lot in team periods, so believe me, there's no. I want to track this punting battle, maybe more than anyone. I really want to watch it. I thought early on Siposs looked much better than Ty Zettner. I thought the last time they did punt in team drills, Zettner looked much better than he did the first time. So I think the joint practices and preseason games will go a long way to determining that. I thought it was notable that a couple of days ago they had competitive field goal, 6 field goals in a row. It was Siposs holding for 3, Zettner holding for the next 3. So at least it shows that it's still a real competition.
Who looked better holding?
They're all smooth. They all went through.
My prediction is neither one of them is going to be this team's punter because I don't know. I mean, Zettner's okay, but I don't know how he's done better the last week. I don't know how you can rely on Siposs after, the last 2 years, what he's done at the end of the year. I mean, he's killing it out here on the practice field, but 10 minutes left in the Super Bowl.
Nothing.
It's terrible.
I mean,
how do you trust that guy again in a high leverage situation?
Right. When they returned it all the way to the 5-yard line, but. At least there's one thing we can say. The second team guy's a Kansas State guy, so he's got one thing going for him.
I knew that was going to come. All right, Ashley, are we ready over there?
Well, we'll keep working on that. What else you got?
All right, we'll move on here. We're having a little trouble with that microphone. Just yell your don't yell your question. Let me see what I have here on my list. This one from Joe Doherty. Who's the most likely player to get a mid-season contract extension? The Eagles have a bunch of players who will be free agents after the year. How about we'll just limit it to the guys they signed on a 1-year deal this offseason?
Okay.
Of those players, so we're talking, the running backs, DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny. We'll throw Terrell Edmonds in there.
Nick Morrow.
I would say no on that one. But any of those guys that you think could end up being extended?
I think DeAndre Swift is a guy that, with his receiving ability, we know he's a solid runner. He seemed to pick things up really quickly. He's catching the ball well. I don't think he's going to – I mean, we get into the whole running back salary thing. I don't think it's going to cost a fortune to keep him. So I'd say he might be the most likely.
Yeah, if he has a great season and he gets to free agency, they're not keeping him. So
Right.
I think the only chance for both sides to have him stick around is if they get it done during the year.
Yeah, the close one I think is Terrell Edmonds. But, that really wasn't the guy that I was really thinking about as far as getting an extension. We'd have to –
I don't know if he's going to make the team.
He'll make the team.
I don't know.
Man.
All right, Ashley.
I'm saying Hassan Reddick. I know he's not
Oh,
one of
that's
the guys
fair,
we talk
an
about.
extension. Yeah, he's got another year left. But, yeah, that's very possible. He's certainly outplayed his deal. Ashley, third time's a charm.
You took my line, Dave. I was going to say third time's a charm. Okay. We have Jared from Brookhaven who has been very patient and wants to ask you guys a question.
How you guys doing?
What's up?
Long-time listener, long-time watcher.
Thank you.
I actually have 2 questions. What I've been hearing, Kenneth Gainwell, they get most of the first-team reps. Between him, I know it's a homegrown guy. What's his name? The guy that's from
Swift.
Detroit. Swift. You think they'll battle it out, and who will be the day 1 starter?
I mean, they've all taken reps with the ones. I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I'd say Swift's probably had the most. But
It's been crazy. It's really been 5 different running backs taking first-team reps. It's been a pretty constant rotation.
But, I mean, Gainwell's going to be here and Swift's going to be here. And then the other guys will sort themselves out. Gainwell's had a good camp. He's caught the ball well, which he didn't do last summer. I like Kenny Gainwell. He's a nice player. I think he's a great player, but certainly came up big in the postseason last year, and it's one of the reasons Miles isn't here yet. Probably not here anymore, not the biggest reason, but I think that gave him a lot of confidence to move on from him.
Got any thoughts on the running backs, Barrett?
It's just tough, man. Like you said, I'm looking at it, and when you're running with the first team offensive line, you're going to look good when you're running with the first team. So when Swift is there, when Gainwell is there, when Boston's there, all those guys are there, they're going to look good. That's why you see a lot of coaches talking about, they're playing this, they're doing that. Because, they're going against, some pretty good guys. And Trey Sermon's one of those guys who had an opportunity to run with the ones. And you look good when you run with the ones. So as long as they keep this the way they're doing it, we don't have a clue as far as who's going to be that third or fourth running back or fifth, maybe fifth running back.
Yeah, and I will say that I don't know if it really
It
matters
ain't going to be a fifth running
who
back.
the first guy on the field is for the opener. I don't think
Right.
that's going to be indicative of what the snaps look like
Right.
the rest of the way. You have another one?
Last one, linebacker just went down a few days ago. Do you think Howie make a splash? Maybe bring in another linebacker?
Hey, you haven't been on your phone, huh? Yeah, they just did. Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham both signed or will be signing. So we'll see how that shakes out in camp. I think we'll see a bunch of different combinations.
2 veteran guys. That's what they need.
All right, I'm going to go
Thank
to
you.
the chat real quick. And this is a question I've heard quite a bit. This is from Matt. Will Devonta Smith get paid this season? He's not eligible this season. He'll be in the offseason by Howie. It's a good question because they already have A.J. Brown under contract. So this is something I've heard a lot about. You're eligible for a contract extension after your third season.
If you're a drafted player.
Sure.
I think there's a very good chance of it. I mean, not going to let him go. So the sooner you do it, the better. The cap's going to go up a lot. He's a priority. He's going to be here. I mean, by the time he's done, by the time they're both done, AJ and Devonta could be the 2 best receivers in Eagles history. That's not crazy. That guy over there is in the top 10. I think if they can make the numbers work, there's no question how he would like to do it.
Yeah, we know how Howie likes to do it. He likes to take advantage of getting guys, not on fair market value. He's like signing before they get to fair market value. So that's how his MO. He'd be silly not to do that and go out and sign this guy for as little as he can for the potential that he brings to the table. So I think it will. I think it'll happen.
Yeah, he cares about rewarding his own guys, homegrown
Right.
talent. And I know there's a question about, can they pay 2 receivers top-end money? Look, it's a premium position. They put money into premium positions. I think they'll get that done. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon.
If they keep paying their running backs, $1.2 million, you can pay your receivers.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when I first got into a league, Ricky Waters, all those guys were making like $5 million, and they were like the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Emmitt Smith, guys like that. Making this big money now. Now it's nothing, man. You're not making anything.
I'm trying not to make an old joke, Barrett.
I know.
Leather helmets and all that. All right, Ashley, let's head out to you.
All right, guys. Peyton and Ashley just wanted to say something to you guys. You have 3 questions stolen already. People don't. He just wanted to give you guys a big shout out. Not to let him do that. So go ahead, Peyton. Take it away.
I just wanted to say, long-time listener, long-time watcher, I appreciate you guys keeping us updated on
Thank you.
training camp. My questions were in regards to the linebacker position, but like she said, they were already stolen. So thank you guys.
No problem, man.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you. Appreciate that. I have another question here from Twitter. This is a good one. This one made me think, and I should have given it to you a little earlier because it's unfair to spring it on you. But what players come to mind in the past, players who didn't show much in camp and then ended up having good seasons or good careers?
I remember this rookie lineman in '95. He was terrible, but then Bernard Williams got suspended, and it was like, what are you gonna do here?
Lo and behold, they're starting a rookie left tackle out of Kansas State.
No, that's a great question, and nobody really comes to mind.
Well, I'll give you the one I have, so I'll buy some time for you. Patrick Robinson.
Wow.
In 2017.
That's a good one.
He was awful, to the point where we thought he was going to get cut. What happened was they were playing him outside, and it wasn't until they moved him inside at the nickel where he ended up really shining. And this guy ends up being a hero for that Super Bowl team, and he was a guy who I didn't really think was going to even make the squad coming out of training camp.
50-yard pick six changed that whole game.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Anyone else?
I'm going to think about that.
Okay.
Well, what about Jermaine Mayberry? He first
Well, it
2
took him
years.
a couple years.
Yeah, it took him a couple years to
And
really
he
grow
moved from
into it.
tackle to guard.
And when he moved to guard, he was all world after that.
He was.
Yeah, there've been some offensive lines at position like that, like Isaac Samalu in his early camps.
Right.
Certainly didn't look great. I mean, obviously Jordan Mailata was one who was raw, to say the least, so it was really tough to tell what he would be in training camp. So it's not as many as you would think. I mean, you can pretty much get a good sense for these guys in camp, and if you're having an awful camp, it's tough to translate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Or get the opportunity to translate.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I have one here from Mike Butts. How much action does Jalen Hurts see in the preseason?
Who? What?
Not much.
Any?
No.
I think he'll get maybe. I mean, with these joint practices, they got 2 against the Browns and 1 against the Colts. He might not play in the preseason.
Right.
Are they going to be able to get enough work with play calling, getting the call into him? Is that something to worry about at all?
I don't think so. I think he might not play.
I feel the same way.
You let Tanner McKee and Ian Book take the second half. You get Mariota some work and try to get him to look decent.
Yeah, and especially what happened last year. You can thank the Jets for that.
You're probably right. All right, here we go. This is from Robert Richardson. Can both Hassan Reddick and Nolan Smith play on the field at the same time together? And then he has another one that we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, I mean, Nolan Smith can do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. He's a versatile kid. I think you'll definitely see packages where those two I think the one thing we know about Sean Desai, he's going to mix and match all the time. He's going to find different combinations, different positions. I think you'll see all kinds of things. I think you'll see all kinds of fronts, all kinds of formations, all kinds of combinations. So, yeah, I definitely think you could put those two on the field together.
When Jim Schwartz was here, they used to run the NASCAR package. They'd move BG inside. What do you call the package with Hassan Reddick and
I already told you what that was. It's F1.
It's F1 racing?
You as F1. You got Reddick on one side, and Smith on the other side, and then you just bring in guys like you bring in BG at one tackle, and then on the other side you put in Swift. Now
I like you're talking. Get the running back out.
No.
Sweaty?
Sweaty, yes. Yeah. You put Sweat in there. Can you imagine how bad that would be for guards trying to block both Sweat and BG wide as they are? That's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, it'd be tough. And we mentioned Nolan Smith a little bit earlier playing off-ball linebacker. I want to make sure people know that that's not like a position switch. That's a situational thing where I think obviously it's one of the situations they didn't have any linebackers the other day in camp. They needed to have a body out there.
It almost crushed Hassan Reddick's career.
Yeah, you're right. They played him out of position. Now, we'll see with Nolan Smith. I think that there's a chance they can utilize him. I think he'd be a really strong blitzer from the off-ball position if they want to blitz him through the A-gap. I think that's a situation where we could see him get on the field early, especially if the reps aren't coming there in the normal rotation.
Well, what's to say about Nicholas Morrow that a rookie playing out of position was ahead of him on Friday?
I don't know if he was ahead of him. I think they were just kind of shuffling through. But, I mean, I think the bigger thing to notice there was that they went and signed 2 linebackers.
Yeah, no doubt.
We good with Ashley here? Another question? Let's roll over there.
All right, guys. We have Joe with a question for y'all.
Hey, guys. Huge fan. Listen every week.
Thank you.
Work. Dave, you answered one of my Twitter questions already. Thank you for nailing the last name. I hate to bring up a taboo subject, but that guy in Indy posted a picture today on Twitter of him wearing an Eagles helmet, Commander's uniform, and Colts shorts all together. Is he totally washed up?
Oh, the guy in Indy. Gotcha. Yeah. What was he wearing now?
An Eagles helmet, a Commander's jersey, and Colts shorts for like a freelance putting himself out. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Is he totally washed up, or does he have anything left in the tank?
I think he has something physically, and not what he once was. I just think the problem might be with role and a team. No one's going to bring him in as a starter right now, unless maybe there's an injury and a team is desperate. But at this point, you'd have to bring him in as a backup, and based on his history, you'd have to do a lot of deep digging on him if you're a team trying to bring him in. And you have to worry about what it would do to your locker room. And he's put himself in that situation. I don't want to keep hammering on the guy. He's looking for a job, but I think he's kind of put himself in that position where a team would have to take a chance on him, and I'm not sure it would be worth it.
Yeah, physically, you look at the season he had with the Colts 2 years ago. Up until those last 2 games, was it the Raiders and the Jaguars, I think? that they lost. I mean, he was playing pretty well. So I think physically, I think he'd be fine. I don't know if he'd be what he was in 17, but I think he could still be a good starting quarterback. I worry about what's upstairs. How much does he love the game? How much does he love the preparation? How much does he love the sacrifices that you have to make to be an elite player in the NFL? And I mean, what's he got? 3 kids now. He's out there killing animals all over the place. I just don't know if he's got what it takes mentally, the mental fortitude to be an elite quarterback again. I kind of feel like he doesn't, and I think teams feel the same way. And I think that's why he doesn't have a job right now, because a lot of quarterbacks get hurt. Nobody's calling up the guy in Indy.
All right, I have a
guy in Indy's Carson Wentz, by the way. You haven't figured it out.
I have a question here on the chat from Terrence Hill. What rookie do you see making the biggest impact during the preseason? So we'll answer that one, but then I want to also hear your guys' thoughts on the actual season.
Well, in the preseason, I mean, they're all going to play a lot.
Who's going to flash?
Tanner McKee.
Yeah?
He's going to go up against third defenses and light
With
them up.
the third string O-line.
That's fair. They got Josh, what's his name now?
Josh Andrews.
Josh Andrews.
The juice is back.
32-year-old rookie. 32-year-old Josh Andrews. He's back. But, I think a guy like that could really shine going up against. He's going up against undrafted corners, and I think they don't really. I mean, skill guys. I mean, Nolan Smith certainly could get a couple sacks. Who are you thinking?
Yeah, Nolan Smith is the one. Depending on how late they play him in the game, if he's going against third-team left tackles, I think he's got a good shot to flash a little bit. How about the actual season, though? What are your
Let me get.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I'm gonna get Moro Ojomo.
Ojomo, yeah.
You say you like him. I want to see what he can do, especially against guys that he'll be just on the same level as he is in the preseason.
Yeah, that's fair. He's flashed a little bit. I think he has some pass rush upside. Definitely kind of a pure 3 tech, but he's one, especially right. If he's in there late in games against guys who are going to be out of the league in a few weeks,
right?
He has a chance. I hear Ashley has another one.
Yep, guys. Jonathan from Medford has your next question.
Okay.
Coming out of the draft,
Move over a little.
we got Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. How do you think those two are going to affect our run defense this year?
The run defense is interesting because that's not what anyone's talking about. It's mostly been about the pass rush. It's funny with Nolan Smith because he's undersized and people think that he's just this finesse pass rusher. He's a tough dude. He crashes in the run game. He kind of had to do that at Georgia. So, I mean, I don't know if it's like people might think it's going to be a negative in the run game because these two guys have such pass rush upside, but I don't think it will be.
They were one of the worst run defenses in franchise history last year. And I think I certainly think Jalen Carter is going to make a huge difference. I don't care if he gets 1.5 sacks all year. He's going to really help in the run game.
Yeah, they had to.
They have a 4.6 yards a carry.
That's simply ridiculous. And then that's a lot to do with Hargraves putting most of his energy into being a pass rusher instead of a run stopper. I saw him get drove down the field and dumped on his head. But on passing down, he showed the ability to get 11.5 sacks, 11 sacks last year. So,
you putting him in that Babin class?
No, that's unfair.
Okay.
But I mean, he's got Carter can play everything, and that's going to give him ample opportunity to be on the field as much as he can.
Yeah, he'll definitely be out there for passing downs. Obviously, the guy we really want to watch against the run is Jordan Davis.
Absolutely.
He needs to be better than last year, and we'll see if he is. All right, let's move on here. I have a question down here. And this is kind of, you mentioned Ojomo a little bit. How have the depth defensive tackles looked? Noah Ellis, Marlon Tuipulotu, Moro Ojomo, Contavious Street. Rube, you want to start that one a little bit?
Yeah, it's one position that's kind of tough to evaluate. Ojomo has flashed a little bit. I'm not a huge Tuipulotu fan, but he's been okay this camp.
I think he's been pretty good this camp.
I think he's been okay. Street hasn't done a whole lot. Who's the other guy?
Noah Ellis.
Noah Ellis. Haven't really seen him show up, honestly.
Yeah, Noah Ellis was a guy I was really curious about.
He's 340.
He has the size, and you're wondering about, do they have a backup nose tackle? Because last year, even when Jordan Davis came back, they were rotating him and Linval Joseph. So I was wondering if Noah Ellis would be that. I don't think he is. I think right now it would be Tui Pelotu as the backup nose, and then really it might be Ojimo and Contavious Street fighting for a roster spot. So we'll see. We have a few more minutes here. I might have another question. No, you know what it was about trading for a linebacker, and they just signed a couple linebackers. So all the Twitter questions are gone. I'm going to roll through and look for one here. Let's answer this one from KSoul24. Any word on Desai? He's from the Vic Fangio School of Defense, but any wrinkles expected for style? Let me just get your take on Desai so far and what you think we're going to see.
Yeah, I think the one thing, he's very secretive about a lot of things, but the one thing we know is that he loves moving guys around. He loves guys who are versatile, who can play multiple positions. I think this defense is never going to look the same one snap to the next. He's going to be running guys in and out of there. He's a big believer, like Jonathan Gannon, in generating pass pressure from the guys in front, so he can keep everyone else to drop back or play the run, whatever it is. So I think it's going to be kind of similar to what we've seen, but he'll certainly have his own wrinkles. We just don't really know what they are yet. I think we'll learn a little bit more at the joint practices with the Browns, which is next week, week after next. Next week? No, it's today?
Sunday. Yeah.
Today's Sunday, so it is next week. I think we'll learn a little bit more at those. I think we'll see a little bit of what he's all about, but I think versatility and multiplicity are going to be keys to what he's doing.
I love those words. Those are
the odds of me getting multiplicity out correctly was like 1 in 20.
It's funny. I got asked about his defense. Like, what does it look like? Is it going to be different? And it looks the same. Honestly, we haven't seen a ton of wrinkles, and I think it's really just because they're still installing. And I think those wrinkles will come down the line, and I think they are going to be a little secretive about it in front of us because they're going to unleash it in week 1.
And they kind of don't know because they're still evaluating the athletes that they have. This is the first time he's seeing these guys. Mm-hmm. It's like the first time us seeing, the guys, that they just brought in. So they still got to evaluate who they have and where they can put these guys together. So, I mean, it's still up in the air for them also.
All right, we got to wrap this up because me and Rube have to go grill Nick Sirianni about the new linebackers. We got to go watch practice. So thanks to everyone who came out here and asked us questions in person on the chat, on Twitter. We appreciate all that. Barrett, thanks for putting in a half shift today.
Oh.
We appreciate that.
5 minutes late.
Just kidding, man. We appreciate it.
You got to pay $10 to get in.
We're going to wrap this up. For Barrett and Rube, I'm Dave. Thanks, everyone.
I need my money back, Alex.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks to our crew, too.